his ex-fiancée, insurance broker Stephanie Martell, for the return of an engagement ring and for stealing from his bank account while he was in jail.
Your Honor, this is case number 86 on the calendar in the matter of Balzolari versus Martell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Balzolari, you and the defendant were engaged to be married and lived together.
That's correct.
Unfortunately, you were incarcerated for a period of time, a drug-related charge, and then went into rehab. And it is your claim that during that period of time, Miss Martell cleaned you out, took your property, took your money, broke up, and she won't return a very expensive engagement ring as well. Miss Martell said all of that money was used to pay your bills, to pay for things for you while you were incarcerated, and she had to sell the engagement ring in order to pay those bills. Right?
Right.
Okay. When did you become engaged?
Your Honor, that was approximately 4/20. I'd purchased the ring. Here's a picture and a receipt. It was shortly after that we became engaged. And,
April 20th?
Yes, somewhere around that time.
Of what year?
02.
When was the wedding supposed to take place?
There was no date set.
What were you waiting for?
I don't know. For us both to agree on a certain date and, you know.
Okay. So you became engaged in April of 2002 and you were living together.
Yes.
When were you incarcerated?
It wasn't a drug. I'd like to correct that, Your Honor. That wasn't a drug-related charge. It was a felony charge. It was an impersonation charge, is what that was. It wasn't drug. I agreed to go into a drug court system.
Explain that to me, sir. You were convicted of what?
Criminal impersonation of a police officer. It was a felony charge, which at that time I was volunteered in a drug court in Rochester, New York.
Well, what did criminal impersonation have to do with drugs, sir? Why would you be placed in a drug court? I'll get to you in a second.
If
you can't give me the answer, because I'm going to get to the answer. If you can't give me the answer, I'll allow you to help me.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
Before I had that charge, Your Honor, I was in a voluntary drug outpatient program.
Okay.
And during that time when the judge seen that, at that time I picked up the charge, she says, well, if you continue to stay sober and clean and continue your drug treatment program, we will dismiss the charge. And I failed to stay clean. So he incarcerated me and asked me if I wanted to do the time or do I want to help myself and change.
Mr. Borzelli, is what you're telling me, sir, that you pled guilty to criminal impersonation as a felony? The judge allowed you to remain at liberty as long as you were in a drug rehab program and remained drug-free. Is that what you're telling me?
No, there was no plea. My choice was...
Can I see those papers, please?
This was my whereabouts. The judge says, if you stay clean, we'll drop the charges and we're going to put you in drug court. Simple. If you stay clean for a year, we drop your charges. Conditional discharge.
Now I'll hear you, because this doesn't sound all right to me.
Exactly. We were friends. This is before we started dating. He was caught downtown in a well-known drug hotel impersonating a police officer. They forced him to go into drug court. It wasn't voluntary for him.
And then I assume that as part of this agreement that you had with the judge, you tested positive for drugs at some point?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you went into jail. And you went into jail, according to this,
on
the 12th of January 2004 to the 20th of February 2004.
Correct.
So for a little more than 6 weeks.
Correct.
Okay. And is it during that time that you claim that Miss Martell cleaned you out?
Oh, yes.
Okay. During that 6-week period?
No, not entirely.
Well, when?
Well, cleaning out, I don't know where the cleaning out comes from, but I have a telephone bill. When she moved in, Your Honor, she was 6 months behind in her mortgage. She says, I want to get away from my ex-husband.
When are you talking about? What year?
02, when she moved in.
I'm not interested in 02. Pay careful attention to me.
What are you interested in?
1/12/04 until 2/20/04.
Okay.
Period.
Here's a bill. She agreed to pay my phone bill, never did.
Mr. Borzelli?
Yes.
Get to it, sir.
Get to it?
Yes. I'm not
phone
interested
bill,
in the phone bill.
Cable bill she didn't pay. Here's the pictures I have from my house.
I'm not interested in whether she didn't pay bills for 6 weeks, sir.
Okay, so what are you interested in?
Well,
I have a bill here, Your Honor.
It was
my home that I paid somebody.
Speaking, sir.
Go ahead.
You're asking me, and I'm telling you. It
Okay.
was my impression, sir, that what you were suing her for were two things: personal property and reimbursement of money taken without authorization is what
Okay.
you're suing for, plus the return or value of the engagement ring.
Okay, thank you. Right here, Your Honor, is a receipt from a $2,180 check. Mr. Grimes here, my witness, has cashed it, gave her $2,180. She only paid a mortgage payment of $960, And that's all. I have missing money.
So is what you're telling me that she cashed a check for $2,000 and that was your money?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And that she didn't pay sufficient amount of bills to cover that $2,100?
Yes.
Okay. She paid $900 in a mortgage. She did pay that
Yes,
for
she
that
did.
period
Almost
of time.
$1,000.
Here's the receipt, ma'am. It's
How much is the mortgage?
It was
The
almost
mortgage-
$1,000.
Excuse me. I have a receipt.
Just tell me how much it was.
$979.
Okay, so that's
For the
close to
mortgage.
$1,000. So that's
Thank you.
$979
Yes.
out of $979 out of the $2,100 that she cashed. Okay, what else did you pay for out of that money?
$600 of Rochester Gas and Electric.
Your Honor, I have a receipt here for $1,000. She didn't pay squat. Or nothing, I should say.
Mr. Borzelli, put down your paper, sir. Okay, where's the other $600?
$200 from, this is what I wanted to say before, in December of 2002, he was incarcerated for a positive drug test. He went to jail for a week. I had $200 for that week of collect calls. When he went to jail the next time,
I'm not interested in 2002. What else?
commissary money I brought to the jail,
How much?
I believe $80.
Okay, little bits of money. Let's talk about the engagement ring. Gave you an engagement ring. Clearly, it is an engagement ring. It's a
Yes.
solitaire. Where is it?
I sold it.
Did you?
Yes.
When? Look at me.
February.
Don't look in the air.
February of this year.
Show me. Show me.
I don't have
You
a
sell a
receipt.
$14,000 ring. You have a receipt. You have something.
I sold it to a family jeweler.
I don't believe you. You're lying to me. Because if you sold it to a family jeweler and you knew you were coming to court, you would have said to the jeweler, "Can I have a receipt for the ring that I sold?"
I could have, yes.
Well, where did you think you were coming today? To a tea dance?
No.
You were coming to court.
Right.
Court takes evidence. You're full of baloney.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Robert Borzelli says ex-fiancée Stephanie Martell owes for the return of money and an engagement ring. Stephanie claims she sold the ring to pay bills while Robert was locked up.
Okay, it wasn't your ring. Now, even if you sold it, you had no right to sell it. It was your ring only if the contract to get married to Mr. Borzelli was consummated. It was not. The ring is given as a gift in contemplation of a marriage. Your argument is that you had to sell the ring to pay off bills. What bills did you have to pay off? What?
To maintain,
bill?
he asked me to stay in his house and to maintain his
6
house.
weeks. What
Right.
bills did you have to pay in 6 weeks that he did not cover with the $2,100 that you took out of his account?
I had to come up with money to move out of the house.
That's your problem. Are you over 18?
Yes.
Deal with it. That's your problem. That's not his problem. What?
I was just going to say that first and foremost.
Say something by standing up.
Sure.
What?
First and foremost, she was responsible enough to do what she had to do to take the engagement ring and sell it to her family jeweler.
I don't believe her, and I don't believe you. She did not sell this ring to a family jeweler, because if she did, the jeweler is responsible by law to give her a receipt. Do you understand?
I do understand.
And this wasn't a little ring for $300. This was a solitaire, which he paid over $14,000 for. And if you expect me to believe that she sold that ring in February to pay bills for him, which is what she alleges in his answer, I don't buy it.
That's
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, which is the maximum that I can award to you, sir. I want you to listen to me very carefully. You can put everything else away. I'm not interested at all about any other money she owes you, because the ring covers it. Do you understand?
Clearly.
I assume that you sued her in small claims court because it's the only way that you thought you'd get any money at all, and you wouldn't have to hire a lawyer to sue her civilly anyplace else. You are entitled to that ring back, because an engagement ring is not an absolute gift until the marriage is fulfilled, and it was never fulfilled, right?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff. Out.
Parties are excused.
It's wrong on his part. The reason we didn't get married was his actions.
I gotta hand it to Miss Martell. I really do. She's very consistent. Every time her lips move, there's a lie.
I didn't want to be with him anymore, and he was upset by that.
You've heard of that deal saying, good pet's gone bad? Well,
He He was threatening me because I wanted to move out for a while for him to straighten out.
I'm threatening him. I'm 140 pounds, 5'4". Ooh.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ortega versus Gutierrez. Step forward.
Computer technician Netza Ortega is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old customer service rep Maribel Gutierrez, for unpaid loans to get her hair done and for the return of a promise ring.
Oh, Mr. Ortega. The romance is over. You want your jewelry back, and you want some money that you loaned to the defendant while you were together.
That's correct.
Ms. Gutierrez says you often gave her money. There was never any mention of a payback, and the jewelry you want back were gifts that you made to her, and you're not entitled to them back.
I feel that it's entitled back to me because they were actually a symbol of our relationship.
All right, let's take the simple ones first. The loan. When do you claim, and what year did you make her the loan?
June of this year, and it was to get her hair done, and it was for $50.
What's next,
Okay,
Mr. Ortega?
after that, it was another loan for $50 to get her hair done.
Get over it, Mr.
And then after that, it was another $40, and that was
to get her nails done?
No.
Manicure, pedicure.
No, that was actually
facial,
to get her
leg
diaper.
wax, whatever. Let's get to the jewelry.
Okay, the jewelry was given to her in April.
Did she go shopping with you for the jewelry?
No,
You went by yourself?
I went by myself.
And you went to a store and you picked out what kind of jewelry?
A promise ring. It was a butterfly made of diamonds.
And what else?
And then a month later, after I paid off the ring, I got her a matching pendant that went with it.
How much did you pay for all this?
About $325 total.
$325.
Yes.
So we're not exactly talking the Hope Diamond here.
No.
Is that right? Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
is this your first girlfriend?
No, it's not.
How many girlfriends have you had?
I've had about 4.
Did you buy them gifts?
I bought them gifts.
And then you broke up with them?
Yes.
Did they give you back the gifts?
No, because I didn't ask them for those because they weren't actual agreements. The promise ring was an agreement that we would stay in a monogamous relationship. And now that it's over, I deserve that. I should get it back.
Wait 1 second.
Miss Judy?
Just 1 second. When you gave her the ring, what did you say to her?
I said, this is a promise that we would stay in this relationship.
You made her a promise?
Yes.
That's nice.
And she agreed to take it.
Mr. Ortega.
Yes.
Grow up, sir.
Okay.
You're dying to say something.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
We made a promise that he would stop drinking, doing drugs, and I accepted the gift if he would stop doing drugs and drinking. He did not. Accidentally, I don't know what happened to the gift. It
No, I know
got
that's
lost.
not true.
Listen to me. You were better off without opening your mouth.
Okay.
You were better off just standing there and looking gorgeous. Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
get over it. Put a period. Move on.
Okay.
If you want a ring that comes back to you, you buy a diamond.
It was
Now,
diamond.
listen to me. No, not a
were
butterfly.
diamonds.
Not a butterfly, Mr. Ortega. You buy a single diamond and you have it set in a very nice setting, and then you say, I want you to marry me.
I
Will
did.
You, listen to me. I'm speaking.
At one point, though, I
I'm
did.
speaking.
Okay.
Will you marry me? This is an engagement ring.
We weren't
not
engaged.
a promise ring. I don't care if you were engaged or not. Listen, I've gotten engaged without a ring, too. Once or twice.
Okay.
A ring, the solitaire, Mr. Ortega, not a butterfly.
Actually, it was a princess cut.
Bye, Mr. Ortega.
He was using drugs.
I treated her well.
I have a 2-year-old son. I'm not going to deal with this.
Total lies. I totally respected her and her son.
Didn't want me to talk to my friends.
Not at all. I would let her go out and do her thing with her friends.
We used drugs and not remember anything he would tell me. He was always verbally abusive to me, and I'm not going to take that because I have a 2-year-old son, not from him. So, I mean, I'm not going to deal with that.
National Guard Administrator Wendy Moore is suing homemaker Nelda Bailey for her son's medical bills and car repair bills. Wendy says Nelda's daughter was killed when the girl drove her car without permission and rolled it. Nelda's countersuing for her daughter's funeral expenses.
Quiet in the courtroom.
What's wrong with you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Wendy Moore says homemaker Nelda Bailey owes for her son's medical bills and car repair bills due to an accident caused by Nelda's deceased daughter.
Madam.
Stephen Burnley is suing his ex-fiancée, Courtney Belluccio, for a credit card and rent.
Order. All rise. Yes, case number 263 on the calendar in the matter of Burnley versus Belluccio. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Burnley, according to what I've read, the defendant was your former fiancée. She lived with you for a period of time. You claim that she owes you for two things. First, for rent for several months that she lived there and she didn't pay you rent. And second, for a credit card loan that you paid off for her and that she agreed to repay. The defendant says that while she was there was not an agreement for rent, that in quite the opposite, she was really treated more like a maid than anything else. She cooked and cleaned and took care of you and your children and the house. And in addition, while she does acknowledge that there was a loan for her credit card debt that she had, she says that she agreed to leave certain items at the house when she left that more than cover the balance of the loan, some of which she had already paid to you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burnley, when did you start to date Ms. Belluccio?
February of 1998.
And in February of, because I've read these papers very carefully, in February of 1998, sir, you were married.
Yes.
And how old were you?
36.
And how old was Miss Belluccio?
19.
Is that right?
I was 18.
And where did you meet her?
I work.
What kind of work did you do?
It's a convenience store.
What were you doing at the convenience store?
I was her boss.
So you were her boss. She was 18 years old. She was going to school?
Yes.
College?
Yes.
And she was working besides, going to school full time?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had you been separated from your wife?
10 years almost.
Are you divorced now?
No, not yet.
Why not?
Long story. She was supposed to pay for the divorce.
I have time, sir.
Okay.
And it's a long story,
Yeah.
but I guarantee it's not
It
such
was a matter
long
of
story.
principle that she would, when we had split up, she had taken all the furniture and stuff like that, and she was supposed to pay for a divorce, and that she never did.
Stubborn sucker, aren't you?
Yes.
You have children?
Yes.
How old are they?
11 and 12.
Now, when did Miss Belluccio move in with you?
July of 1999.
And did you become engaged at that time?
No.
When did you become engaged?
I do not remember approximately. She asked me to marry her first, and at that time I said that I believe she should be at least 25 before she gets married, so she knows what she's getting into.
And did you ever change your story?
I asked her to marry me a couple of years later.
Did you give her a ring?
Yes.
And you're still not divorced?
Correct.
How did you plan to carry that out, sir?
I procrastinate, but I believed that I would have it done before we would get married.
That's usually the way things go.
Right.
I want you to tell me about this rent that you claim she owes you.
In July of 99, I purchased a home. I did not believe it was a good idea for her to move in at that time, but it happened that way. The agreement was, though, that at that time the living expenses cost $800.
What were the living expenses?
Well, the mortgage was $550, electric, phone, stuff like that. They came to approximately $800. She did agree to pay $400.
Why would she pay off your mortgage? Was the house in her name?
I wouldn't call it paying my mortgage. It was half the living expenses.
She was living with you, and I assume sharing your bed. Right?
Correct.
Who took care of the chores around the house?
She did.
Didn't you think you were a little old for her, Mr. Burnley?
Yes.
Didn't you think that a guy who's 36 years old and married should have nothing to do with an 18-year-old girl who's working, going to school, trying to do the right thing? She want to get hooked up with you for it. You can't even get yourself off the horse after 10 years. Huh?
She told me age didn't matter to her.
She told you
She
age
told me
didn't
that.
matter. She's
Yeah.
18 years old. You're a grown man. Age matters. There are a lot of things that matter that people say don't matter. They matter. It is your statement that you did not have an agreement with him for rent. Is that right?
There was no formal agreement. There were times when we did say, give what you can. There were times when Stephen had 2 roommates where he didn't expect a penny from me. And then there were times we actually did, in September of 2003, have a formal rent agreement.
Okay. What was your agreement?
That I would pay him $300 and that I would pay for groceries.
Okay, and when did you move out?
November of 2003, at the end.
Okay, so for 3 months.
Correct. I always contributed to the household, whether it be projects or whether it be I paid for all the groceries. There may have been 1 month in the 4 years that we lived together that Stephen bought groceries. But I did all the household chores, and I assisted him with several projects. I have pictures of his whole house has been changed. I paid for a lot of those things.
Like what?
Painting. I helped him paint. We did the whole back patio, and I paid for several flowers to go in the ground, at least $250 a summer. I paid for flowers, and several of those flowers have come back.
So you treated the house as if it was going to be your home.
That is what Stephen told me at all times. That he offered one of the roommates money, $7 per hour, to help him work on a project. And I questioned, why aren't you offering me money to help you work on these projects? And he said to me that half of this will be yours someday.
I'm listening.
That part's not true about putting in flowers. I always had told her, don't put flowers in, you can't afford it, you're going to school. She'd also bought clothes for my children, which I told her not to do.
So she was a nice person.
Yes.
When you were
yes,
together.
She did a lot.
Tried to hold up her end of the financial bargain while you were
Right.
together.
Right.
And then some.
That's correct, which I told her all along.
So why are you here suing her for rent?
Principal.
Someone who proposes marriage to a girl half his age while he's still married shouldn't talk about principle.
She came to me and told me that she had a credit card that she had, I don't know if it was maxed out, but it was very high interest. It was killing her paying the payments. So I decided to take a bank offer loan that I'd had and pay off that credit card, and it was at 2%.
How much did you give her to pay off her credit?
$5,176.
And how much did she pay back? How much did you pay back?
I paid back $3,890.
And you claim that you don't owe anything on this because why?
When I moved out in November of the end of November 2003, I told Stephen when I was leaving that I'm going to leave some things behind. If I'm going to write my estimated value next to it, I'd like you to write what you feel is a fair value next to it, and we'll agree upon a value, and we'll take that off the balance. And he agreed.
Can I please see the
Sure.
list that you prepared of the things that you left behind? Well, let me tell you this. Some of this is nonsense. A bicycle. Now that's $100. Kitchen table and 4 chairs.
Sits in the basement. Told her she could take it. Would she need it?
2
She said
dining
no.
room chairs.
In my basement.
You have any use for these things?
No.
You can go get these things because he doesn't want them, but you don't get credit for them. Okay. You agree to pay it back. The money you owe him $1,500. That's all. Your lawsuit, sir, is seeking over $3,000. I think you're a little out of line. I think you're out of line with the rent. I don't think that you had an agreement other than the defendant has already acknowledged that is an agreement for 3 months. I believe her when she says she paid you the rent for the 3 months, September, October, November. Mm-hmm. That's it. You lived together for how many years?
4.
4 years? Get over this list. Get over it, unless you want any of this stuff. If you want any of this stuff, it's in his basement. I'll make an order that you can go pick it up. Do you want it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. She's going to come and pick up all this junk within 5 days of the date of this hearing, and she owes you $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think his real motivation is that he's simply angry with me.
I procrastinate a lot, so she probably figured I wouldn't try to collect it.
We had just completely grown apart. We wanted different things on a daily basis from life.
I was just in no hurry to get married again, I guess.
It was all on principle. He was planning on getting a divorce, and ironically,